Okay, before I start, I want to ask everyone a question. Have you ever been bullied? Yes. 有被霸凌过吗？没有，好。Okay, I'm Justin, so today I'm gonna talk about bullying. If you have, and you don't feel comfortable to sit it out, that's completely fine. Admitting that you've been bullied or isolated is already a difficult thing. Today, I'm willing to talk about it because I hope to offer some support to those who may be going through it right now, and some awareness to those who haven't experienced it yet. And of course, I hope that none of you will ever experience it. So first, let me introduce my so-called friend from 4 years ago. At that time, I had 4 close friends, and the 5 of us formed a small friend group. On the surface, we seemed inseparable. We talked every day, we had lunch together, and shared our interests. At that time, I thought these friends would actually last for a lifetime. But back then, I realized that at that time, I was too young, too simple, sometimes naive. This group had a pattern that I'd never realized back then, what I would call internal isolation. If someone didn't reply the message quickly enough, they would be cold-shouldered. If someone spent more time with the people outside the friend group, they would be mocked or excluded. If someone had different interests, small divisions would form quietly. Instead of communicating dissatisfactions directly, we express it through silence, distance, and unspoken punishment. At the time, I didn't realize how dangerous this pattern was, because I was inside it. And sometimes I even participated. Among the 5 of us, 3 of them had already been isolated in turns. And every time, the isolation was initiated by the same person, a girl in our friend group. Eventually, I became the next one, who is also the last one. During that period, I had a crush on a girl. And we were also friends. So I spent some few times on her. I also maintained a close friendship outside this friend group. For example, a friend I had known for 6 years, who is now in Singapore. As I mentioned earlier, in the eyes of that girl in our friend group, this was seen as betrayal. She had been dissatisfied with me for quite some time. And once, I accidentally discovered that the other 4 of the friend group created a separate group chat specifically talking about me, talking bad. And I wasn't included for sure. At the time, I chose not to care. Then, the girl I had a crush on started dating a senior student. I was very disappointed. Yeah, for sure. But that's all, just disappointed. I had no intention to causing troubles. I didn't even want to vent because we were still friends. And I believe it would change nothing. But that girl in our friend group approached to me, appearing to offer comfort. I didn't question her intentions. I thought she was just want to listening to me. Only later, when I reread the chat history, I realized that she had been guiding me to say some things that could be interpreted as hostile. Soon after, the boyfriend of the girl I once had a crush on confronted me. He spoke aggressively, accusing me of saying things that I have never said. And in some cases, I had never thought about it. He repeatedly mentioned, "Oh, your friend told me something, your friend told me this, your friend told me that." I never doubted my so-called friends at that time, to be honest. This happened 3 times in total. 3 times I was insulted and threatened without even understanding the situation. I don't even know I did those things. The most serious incident happened when I was asked to meet at the library. I thought it would be a one-to-one conversation to clear the things up. Instead, when I arrived, I saw around 20 older students led by her boyfriend. They didn't ask anything. They just keep swearing at me, verbally threatened, and humiliated me. And after that, I began to lose the desire to go to the school. I told my parents everything, they understood. I ended up taking a long break from the school. During that time, the situation became even worse. In person, they acted as if nothing had happened. But online, harassment and insulting posts about me began to spread. Like on WeChat, there's about 5 pages of the WeChat moment just for swearing at me. There were personal attacks, threats, and even students who had nothing to do with this event, they also joined in. However, those same words and the witnesses from the library later become valuable evidence. All of it was submitted to the school, and the administration intervened. As the facts were gradually clarified, and as the girl I once had a crush on later cheated on her boyfriend, the situation slowly shifted. At the first time, almost everyone stood on their side. But as the time passed and more details became visible, many people began to reconsider. And quite a few eventually apologized to me. That was when I realized something important. Public opinion is not always searching for the truth. It often looks for the positions that feels most reasonable or safe to attach itself into that moment. Well, from a psychological perspective, this is not unusual. Most people are not intentionally cruel. They simply tend to choose the side that carries the least risk. This is known as the conformity effect. There is also fundamental attribution error. People tend to attribute someone's actions to their character rather than to situational factors. Once I was framed as resentful, many found it easier to believe that reflects my true personality, instead of questioning how the information was presented. During my absence from the school, confirmation bias strengthened this dynamic. Once people accepted the narrative, they only looked for the evidence that supported it, rather than against it. And ignore anything that contradicted it. I wasn't present, so my voice was weak in the school. No one defended me, and so more people accepted the version of the story from my friend. Later, when that relationship itself began to collapse, many people shifted their stance and even apologized to me. Not because they suddenly became rational, but because of the narrative they relied on collapsed. And they needed to adjust their position. This is called cognitive dissonance. When reality conflicts with the previous judgments, people either deny the new information or revise their stance. At that moment, apologizing became a way to restore psychological balance. Through all of these, I want to share a few things. First, always think carefully before you speak, please. Language is easy to manipulate and extremely powerful. The words you said, it can hurt others, and they can also be reframed and used against you. Second, if you're being bullied, tell someone you trust, like your teacher or your parent, even your friend, probably your crush. Speaking up is not weaknesses. It is the foundation of ending the situation. And finally, evidence matters. That's the most important point. Preserving messages, screenshots, and witnesses protect you. Facts may move slower than rumors, but they last longer. And lastly, I sincerely hope that none of you will ever experience bullying. Thank you.